Okay, what I've decided to do is to go through the process of doing an A to Z of all the terms associated with HTML or XHTML and CSS. I'll do the HTML first, and then we'll go on to the CSS because I'll try to use the CSS to try and style things inside the HTML. Now, some of these things are a little bit redundant in HTML when you start using CSS. But basically I'll go through them because if you're a beginner you'll probably want to try to make websites wholly out of HTML with their inbuilt styling mechanism, which is either inline or internal CSS properties. Okay. Anyway, I'll get started. Obviously before the A there's obviously other things. I'm just going to call this A to Z HTML. Okay. One of the first things you can do is create what's known as comments. This is obviously pre-A to Z, but basically the way you do that is you make an open quote and you put a question mark, an exclamation mark. You don't have to. And you just do like that, and you'll notice everything starts turning grey. That means that code is not actually seen inside the actual web page you're making, or is not an attribute that's linked inside the header section. Okay, so you can put this is a comment, okay, like so, and you close it by just doing the same back again, like that. The good thing about this, which is what I tend to find and use, is, for instance, if I'm down here in my section, body section for design, I will add some divs. I'll just do some basically plain divs. Like so. Let's say for instance we're designing a menu. We've got several divs making up the menu. What I tend to do with the quotes and comments, because it may be given into the hands of another person, a client who wants to maybe manipulate the code himself and not ask me to update it or whatever, what I tend to do is I add comments. This is the menu section, like so. Yeah, and then at the bottom where it finishes the menu, so that's the end of the menu section, you put another one. So you put end of menu section, like so. Yep. And so what that does is it enables you to easily and quickly see where a section of your code is, because basically what can happen is you can find that there's an incredibly large amount of code going thousands of lines, and you may not, when it's starting to get nested and everything, see where things are by just the visuals of the actual code. So having these comments is an easy way to actually get it all working and functioning properly. That's a comment. Okay, the next one is actually already instigated into the web page when you make it for the first time inside Dreamweaver, and you'll notice it's this one here. It says doc type HTML public blah 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 blah. It goes all the way to there. Basically it's saying this is an XHTML transitional document. Okay, that's all it needs to say. There you go, XHTML transitional. It's in English, yeah, but this is the actual coding that you need to understand. That's part of the A to Z. It's again an exclamation mark doc type, and when you automatically make things inside Dreamweaver, it puts those in for you. So we won't discuss it too much, okay? Especially if you use Dreamweaver a lot to actually make web pages. Okay, the next thing we're going to talk about is the way we can create linking systems. I'm going to delete all these because we don't need all that now. So we've got one div, and I'm going to put in this is a link. Okay. What you can do, you don't need to link all that. What I tend to do is if I do say something silly like put link, I just link the link. The way this works, especially in Dreamweaver, you can do it automatically, so you got it there. You can actually put the link in here. Okay, but I want to try and teach everybody how to do things by actually coding it by hand. And the way you set up a link is you literally put in this term A. You notice things start turning green. Okay, and because of our autocomplete inside Dreamweaver, it gives you a list. Okay, There are two types of ways of linking. Okay, the first one would be the href, which is very familiar, hopefully, to everybody who uses Dreamweaver. Okay, and so we need to put the close in the proper way, which is that way. Okay, else it won't actually link. I don't want that there. Just going to move it outside that. It won't link just the actual term, it will link the whole part after that as well. So if you put any more text, it will create a problem. Okay, so anyway, this is your href link, and then obviously what you do there is you put in whether it's an external link, which is HTTP. Let's go to apple.com. Simple to remember, like so. Okay, or you can put an internal one. For instance, you could put contact.html. One of the things you have to be aware of is not to put in an external one without using the HTTP. You can't just put in World Wide Web there.com, for instance, because what it's going to do is it's going to think it's an internal file instead of an external file, and that's what the HTTP does. It recognizes it as an external file. Okay, now that's the simplified version of it. What you can do is to add extra features to this to make it a little bit better. One of which would be to create a target, like so. You'll notice here's the list of targets. I'll just show you an example because we're just doing an A to Z. We're not going to go through each one. If I put in blank, like so, yeah, what this does is it actually allows you, when you click on the link, is it actually opens it into a new tab or a new window depending on how you defined your browser. Okay, that's quite useful because if you're doing lots of external sites, you don't want it to overtake the actual browser that you've got the main window, your website design in. You want it to go into another one so they can always go back to yours quite quickly without pressing back or something. Okay, so that's how you do an actual href link. The other way of doing this is the mail to. What you do there is if you want to basically change that, this is a, no, what I'll do is I'll copy that div again, just show you the difference. Like so. Instead of putting a href, you can get rid of the blank as well. So just put it back to the default. And let's change that to email. This is an email. Okay. What we can do here now is you just type in the mail to option, like so, and I'll put Steve at mac.com, for instance, like that. Okay. What that does now is it creates an email link, but when you click on it, it'll open up this is my web application, mail application. It'll open it and it'll set up an email, so you can then fill it in and add extra information, subject, body, and everything. As I said again, like the href, you can actually add certain things to this coding to add extra features. You can't do a target, but what you can do is if I put in a question mark, like so, I can then put subject and then put equals and then type in what I want it to say. Hello, Steve. Like so. What that will do is it will actually add the actual comment inside the subject area of your email. Okay, and you can carry on adding things to this. There are several options. You can do CC, you can do whatever. But if you put an add symbol, it's not adding my add for some reason. No, it's not going to crash. Okay, like that. Okay, and then put body, for instance, equals. You can then put it was nice seeing you the day, for instance. Okay, now what that's doing is it's setting up the email so it can do a lot of the functioning for you, and I'll show you how it works because obviously I can't do it from the document. So it opens up in Safari, and you'll notice it says link and email. If I click on that, you'll notice it opens up a new thing to send to Steve at mac.com, and you notice it also says hello Steve and it was nice to see you the other day. Okay, I spelled that wrong, but you can see my point. It's basically setting everything up to allow you to make an easier way of sending emails. It can be used. So anyway, that's the ahref tags. I'll just close that. The next one we're going to talk about, I'm going to make a new div. You may be typing some text. I'm trying to think of something now. Div. This is lots of text talking about the WWF. There you go, that's an idea. Okay, that's what I need to talk about, and I'm going to close it. So there. What we have here is a WWF, which some people may not know, and some people do, obviously. Now, what this is going to do is it's going to basically tell you. Yeah, there it is. It's going to tell you what that means by rolling over it, because it could mean the World Wildlife Fund, it could mean the World Wrestling Foundation, whatever. It could mean women want food. Who knows? Anyway. What you need to do is to try to define it, so if people don't know that to start with, you can have them have a tooltip appearing over the top of it. The way that works is if you then put in that, you'll notice on your, I'll do it like this, it's got ABBR, which is short for abbreviation, okay? And then what you need to do is just type in the word title equals, and I just open that up and it says World Fund, for an example. Okay, make sure you close the tag, and then make sure you close it to the other side, like so. Alright, you notice nothing seems to happen here. Okay, just going to save it again, show you what happens when you open it in Safari. You have a little tooltip appearing and it says World Wildlife Fund. Okay, so that's one method of doing that approach. Alright, another way of doing it is using the acronym fashion, which means if I do the same kind of thing, div, this is a lot of text, and I want to define an acronym. Okay. So what we need to do there, I'll put comma, let's make an acronym. Anyway, let's just put some text. Let's just say that's an acronym. Alright, don't want to spend too much time just trying to think of an acronym. Okay, so the way we function with this, if I close that, is that just before that, I do much the same thing again. You notice it says acronym. And then again you put the name, sorry, the title of the actual acronym, and then we'll sort of say this means this. Okay, that's just as an example. Close that, and then close the acronym at the other end, like so. And what that does, it's just the same thing. It doesn't show on your thing, but if I save that and go to my Safari and refresh it, okay, what happens is when you roll over it, a little box appears. Okay, now there are a few other ones. I'll do that in another video, part 2 of A, okay, because I don't want to keep these too long. Okay.